Alright guys, I'm Elgems and welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, then just welcome. I make Reddit videos. So guys, today we're back on AmItheA-hole and we've got a really interesting one today. Today guys, I'll bring to you probably one of the most tragic, longest stories we've read in a while. It's got so many updates, so many final updates. It's longer than the Harry Potter series at this point. But before I get into it, I'd like to take a moment to ask you, person who's watching this, if you enjoy Reddit content, then feel free to subscribe to the channel, then you can get weekly Reddit content like this. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into today's story. Our post today was posted by throwaway_sadhusband8 and it's titled, "Am I the a-hole for bringing up how much I actually do for our household to my wife?" Can't believe I actually have a reason to post something on Reddit, but here I am. My wife 41F and I 42M have been married for 15 years. I apparently surprised her by being capable of doing household chores and tasks, which I didn't think much of. My mum always asked me to help out with chores when I was a kid, so I didn't think it was beneath me or anything. I do think I inherited her need to clean excessively, like it's so bad I can't eat until a mess is dealt with. My mum is an amazing cook, my aunt is a literal chef at a fancy hotel, and my dad loved having barbecues. It was pretty natural for me to learn from them and pick up a thing or two. The only thing I didn't pick up was how to make a decent cup of tea or coffee. I'm genuinely awful at it. It got to a point where I was handling most of the household chores and taking care of cooking, which I prefer anyway since she always comes home exhausted. I've been asking our children, 11F and 9M, to do some minor tasks around the house and hopefully teach them this sort of thing too. She has a group of friends who hang out regularly. This time it was her turn to host a group at our home. I offered to take our children out for the day and it was all set. Before we left I had to finish up a few things for work. The office space is practically on top of our living room, so I could hear what they were talking about the entire time. One of the friends asked how she always kept the house so spotless, and my wife just bragged about how she was responsible for all of it. They started talking about their gripes with their marriages. A common theme was how unhelpful their spouses were. I felt pretty uncomfortable, so I just left the office and went out with the kids. I came back home after they'd left for the night and acted as normal until we got to our bedroom. I asked her what was up with that conversation they had and pointed out that I did the cooking and cleaning in our marriage. She told me not to take it personally and that she just wanted to fit in with the struggles of her friends. Now I feel underappreciated, especially since I clearly don't remember any genuine gratitude for what I do from her. Since then she's been pretty short with me. She says that I'm weaponising what I'm doing against her and holding it over her head. I don't expect her to compliment me each time that I clean or defend me religiously. Just a little, "My husband is pretty helpful actually," or "he does his share," would be nice. I can't help but feel like her friends think I'm some sort of deadbeat who comes home to relax and neglect her. Okay, firstly, before I get into the nitty-gritties of how the wife sucked, OP, what a man, what a spectacular man he is. I think so many women would love a husband like OP. The fact that he's helpful, he seems to be very soft-spoken because he didn't approach this situation confrontationally, it was just more like a, what was that about? So, yeah, I think OP's way too good for this woman. He seems so nice and he's so helpful, so domesticated, you could say. This is so incredibly upsetting though because OP's clearly doing a lot for this lady. You know, he cooks and cleans so she doesn't have to do it when she's tired. I'm assuming tired from work. I don't think he specified. But, you know, he's doing that to make her life easier. And what does she do? She makes fun of him and lies about him to her friends. And it's the fact as well he's literally about to go out, take the kids out with him so she can enjoy that time with her friends in peace. And she's still just, like, lying about him. And the wife in this is really confusing to me because she said that she just wanted to fit in with her friends and like relate to their struggles. Why would you want your friends to think that your husband's a bad husband? Because if I had a husband like OP in this situation and my friends were like, "Oh yeah, my husband, all he does is sit on his butt all day, blah blah blah," I'd be like, can't relate, my husband's incredible. Like, you'd want to brag about it if you had a really, like, lovely, helpful husband, so why would you want to lie and make them think that your husband's a terrible spouse to you? And the wife is actually getting on my nerves because why is she now not speaking to him like he's in the wrong? If what OP said is accurate, he wasn't rude, he wasn't aggressive, he wasn't even that confrontational. He was just like, why would you tell him that I don't do anything? I literally do, like, most of the stuff around here. That's like pretty much all it seems like that conversation went like. So it makes no sense to me that the wife's now angry at him and ignoring him. It almost seems like she knows that she's in the wrong and she's being really defensive. But, you know, actually answering OP's question, he's obviously not the a-hole in this situation. Something his wife did and what she said upset him, so being the mature adult, which, you know, you're expected to do, he brought it up and he tried to communicate the issue so he could fix the issue, and she's the one who's making a big deal out of it, and I think that just shows she's in the wrong because, you know, as I said, he wasn't rude or anything like that, he's just trying to communicate the issue. And now she's ignoring him, trying to make him feel bad for bringing up the fact that what she said was nasty. But he's definitely not the a-hole in my opinion. Alright, that's my verdict, but I'm going to go over to the comments, have a look-see at what other people think of this situation, though I'm going to predict that this will be a majority not the a-hole. And as I suspected, the top comment on this post says, "Not the a-hole, you're not weaponising what you're doing against her, you're just insisting that she doesn't lie about you and badmouth you to her friends, which is exactly what she is doing. She knows what she's doing is wrong here, hence a hostile response. She doesn't have a reasonable defence for her behaviour. Personally, I wouldn't let this go. Her friends are the people that you will have to socialise with from time to time, and therefore what they think about you does matter." Oh my god, okay, these commenters said, "Why isn't she bragging about him?" And then someone replies to that and they say this, "Truly a missed opportunity to say, sorry friends, can't relate, my husband does this and that." And that is literally like what I said earlier. If this was my husband, I'd be so proud. I'd be like, nah, my husband's the best, he does everything, I'm so amazed, so happy to have him. Just sucks to be you guys. Oh, another comment says, "Because she's cheating and has to justify her behaviour. Being honest about how good he is exposes her to both her friends and herself. People lie to themselves all the time for many reasons and many things. Usually comes down to self-preservation. There's something they're getting from the lie, or something else equally inappropriate." Another commenter says, "OP is not the a-hole at all, but I think I might have some idea what's going on in his wife's head which may help talking about it. Some women really internalise the idea that all the work around the house is their responsibility, to the point where it's embarrassing for them to admit to anyone else that their partner is doing some of it. I had to deal with it with my parents ages ago. My dad retired and started to take care of the cooking, and my mum's sister mentioned it at some point, and my mum absolutely melted down thinking it meant she was a failure. Like my mum, who is as emotionally constipated as you'd expect from an 80-something woman to be, was worried enough to talk to me about it. The only way I managed to get through to her was to tell her that anyone who criticised her was probably envious that my dad was helping around the house, and that besides, my dad enjoys cooking, so she's being a thoughtful partner by leaving it to him. It's not a healthy way to think, but it is the way that some people think." You see, that's like a really interesting perspective to look at it from. And it would make a lot of sense because I suppose like it is always pushed on to women to do all the cooking and cleaning, and if you don't, people will call you lazy and that. So maybe like that's just what's going through the wife's head in this situation. Maybe she didn't want her friends to think of her as like lazy, so she lied, and it still doesn't like justify her bashing OP's character and making him out to be like a bad husband, but I could kind of understand like, you know, partly understand where she's coming from if it was born from embarrassment. Another commenter says, "Not the a-hole. However, if you want to be petty, stop doing so much around the house. If she wants to brag that she does it all, let her. Let her see exactly how much you contribute and don't do anything until she apologises sincerely." Okay, now we've read through some of the comments, we're going to move on to OP's update. This was posted around the same month. I'm pretty shocked that this post went as viral as it did, and I tried my best to speak to my wife yesterday. I just can't believe that this is the woman I married. I tried speaking with her, telling her what she did wasn't that big of a deal, but it's still not a nice thing to do. She didn't like me bringing it up again and just told me to suck it up and stop bitching about one mistake. She apologised, but in a tone that just sounded like she was tired of dealing with this. I noticed her getting very heated and on the verge of starting an argument, so I backed off and switched to a different topic. I asked if we could just adjust our duties at home to be more fair for the both of us, since most of our management fell to me. I mean pretty much like 90% of things like cooking/cleaning, including planning for our date nights or vacations for our family, rely on me. I do think it's an issue that she gets to come home and just tell me that she's tired. Then she got up in my face telling me I have no right to lecture about chore duties when I'm practically at home most of the time. She completely refused to hear me out and basically told me that what we have works best for our situation. She threw in my face that she was the moneymaker and that balanced everything out in the end. Even this morning she was pretty annoyed with me, coming downstairs in a bad mood. I'm pretty sure our kids noticed it too, but I drove them to school after they got ready. When I got back I noticed that my wife left her packed lunch on our kitchen counter. So now I'm sitting here just feeling like the woman I've known for 15 years hates me. She's been ignoring my texts and attempts to call her. I guess I'll have to push this issue properly, even if she gets angry. I can't let her act like this, especially in front of our children. What an absolute silly twat that woman is. I'm sorry, I know that's not very nice to say about someone, especially someone I don't know, but she just sounds so toxic and so vile, and I can't believe that OP's putting up with this. I think he deserves so much better, and at this point, if he ended up leaving her, I'd probably throw him a party. I think the OP's wife in this situation is, as they say, making a mountain out of a molehill. You know, he just came to her and said, "Can you not lie about me," essentially, and now she's doing all of this. Like, she's doing far too much. It's not necessary for her to be acting like this. She's 41, I think OP said, and she's acting like a literal child, throwing a tantrum because he asked her not to lie about him to her friends. And I'm sorry, but the irony where she's like, stop bitching about one mistake. She's the one who's bitching, like, what the hell? Like, he's just like, listen, we need to address this because it's clearly a problem, we need to communicate, be mature. And she's like, why are you being so dramatic? Why are you making such a big deal out of it? Like, I'm sorry, what? Did anyone ever tell her that when you adult and you're in adult relationships, you're supposed to communicate your issues? Because I think she missed that, like, lesson in life skills. And then OP's wife has the nerve to throw the fact that she's the moneymaker in his face, like, okay, you go out, you work and you earn money for the household, big whoop-de-doo. OP stays home and he cooks and he cleans, okay. A lot of relationships operate that way, that's fairly normal, but that's not the point. That wasn't the point that OP was trying to make. He was upset because you were lying about him and claiming that he does nothing when he does everything in the house. And then, in response to you not listening and not validating his concerns, he's like, okay, well maybe we should make things more even. And then you turn around and throw the fact that you earn all the money in his face, and that's just so sly. Oh, and don't even get me started on the fact that she's acting like this in front of her children. Number one, talk about setting a bad example for your kids. Number two, that's just going to be so upsetting for them. Imagine being like a little kid just watching your parents arguing and you can tell that there's tension in the household. That's gonna mess them up. Just like, be mature in front of the kids, man. Okay, we're going to move on to the comments now, see what people are saying about this update. I have a feeling it's probably not going to be very positive. People are probably going to be quite annoyed at the wife like I am. Okay, the top comment on this post says, "It's obvious that your wife does not respect you because she makes more money than you and feels that you should do more housework to compensate for it. Your efforts in being a supportive partner have been taken for granted. This warrants further conversation, especially regarding the way that she speaks to you in front of your kids. My recommendation is to start focusing on yourself and your own career. Stop making her lunch. She left the lunch on purpose to show you how little she cares about the effort you make on her behalf. You need to respect yourself and the contributions you make, both financially and personally. Start focusing on your own career and well-being. Go to the gym, stay a little bit longer at work, meet associates for a drink, then stop doing laundry for her or anything else. Make food for the kids and have them do their laundry with you. Do not make food or anything for your wife, and start minimal contact / grey rocking her. This includes declining sex and intimacy. Tell your wife you'll be home late and she needs to take care of dinner and chores 3 days a week. Whether you are working late or go to the gym, my guess is that she'll simply order pizza. I don't think that she'll meet you halfway, and you will need to suggest marital counselling. Update us." Damn, okay, this person's like full scorched earth, prepare for war, take no prisoners. But you know what, I agree with him. At this point, the wife, she's made it more than obvious that she doesn't care about OP, she doesn't care about his contributions or anything like that. So, you know, stop doing anything that benefits her. If she doesn't respect you, don't break your back trying to help her out here. Stop cooking for her, stop cleaning for her. She can be an adult and learn to adult and look after herself. At this point, just look after your kids, make them your only priority. Okay, what the hell? OP responds to this comment thread and they say, "I don't understand where this is even coming from. She makes about 100k a year while I make about 70k. She earns more, but definitely not the only income in our household." Nah, man, actually, what the hell? She's talking down to you, she's treating you like her butler, she's I'm assuming she's not really taking care of the kids that much. I'm assuming that it's falling all on you. She's just being a terrible wife to you. Over a 30k income difference, that is ridiculous. OP, wait a minute. Leave your wife. You really, really want to leave your wife. I'm literally just here trying to hypnotise you at this point, OP, to leave that woman because you deserve so much better than her. We all hate OP's wife in this house. Another commenter says, yikes, there's a problem with her throwing you under the bus to try and look like this put-upon boss babe who does it all. There's a problem with her refusal to talk it out rationally with you. There's a problem with her oversized reaction to a very simple, easily discussed problem. There's a problem with her using denigrating language directed at you. There's a problem with her using the silent treatment and avoiding a real adult conversation. And by problem, I mean big red flag. I'm not really sure what's going on behind the scenes, but this is only a small part of it. There's a hidden iceberg of issues with her, and it's her responsibility to sort them out before she kills her relationship. You need marital counselling to figure out what the issue really is and how to speak to each other. She does not sound like a healthy partner for you, and this does not sound like a healthy relationship. With you doing most of the household labour and her taking all the credit with her friends, you should try individual counselling too, as you can't force someone else to do the work of self-reflection, but you can work on yourself. You need to know that your partner shouldn't treat you as she is, and you're definitely not the a-hole here. Another commenter says, you deserve respect for what you contribute. I don't know why this has triggered her so badly. Counselling might be a good idea if the pair of you are at an impasse, but yeah, you can't let her talk to you like this, and you can't let your children grow up thinking that this is acceptable. They'll end up with partners that do the same thing, thinking that's what love looks like. Not the a-hole, and good luck. Another commenter says, not the a-hole, and I hope that you don't back down. Your wife is dismissing your contributions to the relationship. Worse, she's using that dismissal to then dismiss your authority in the relationship. She's also actively participating in creating an external narrative of you that is false. Let's say it outright. All these are signs of emotional abuse. You are being emotionally abused. I'm in a similar relationship to you where I out-earn my partner. While we may skew more housework onto his plate because he works part-time, if he worked full-time we would split housework 50-50 approx. More importantly, I value his contributions to the household, irrespective of his earnings. I proudly share how my partner upholds our relationship, and his voice matters as much as mine when he provides feedback to me. Please seek out some resources on emotional abuse. OP, reading this post made me incredibly sad for you, and I think you know you deserve better. Another comment says, not the a-hole. The fact that she makes more money than you has nothing to do with how chores should be split. Chores are split based on how much time you spend working versus time available, not based on how much money you each make. If you're working similar hours, chores should be split evenly. You have let her walk all over you for so long you didn't seem to notice that she's lost respect for you. Honestly, I wouldn't be able to live like this. You deserve better. Okay, we're going to move on to OP's second update now. I think I'm just done at this point. I did something that I've never did before and I went into her phone while she slept. We both know each other's passwords, so it wasn't really difficult. Some of the cheating comments got to me and I felt pretty paranoid about the situation. Instead, I found a group chat with some of her work friends, different from the friends she had over. It was just non-stop mockery of me and the stuff that I did for her. She told them how embarrassed she feels to be with me and that I dote on her like a parent and I don't feel like her husband. The lunches I packed for her are humiliating because I add sweets and other treats I know that she likes. Some of her co-workers teased her about the snacks I have for her and she admitted to just throwing them out at work. She doesn't have any issue eating them at home, but at work she throws out my baking. She had some other choice words to say about me in the chat, some of which I don't have the courage to type out here. One of her meme pictures was me on my knees scrubbing the bathroom tiles, edited to have some sort of dress on like I was some housewife from the 1960s or something. I just closed her phone and left the bedroom. I confronted her about the chat in the morning and the contents of it, which got her panicking. I focused on our kids this morning and left her to her own devices. It's not like she would have appreciated a kid's lunch anyway. Now she's texting me like crazy at the office, but I think that I've lost all respect for her and what she's become. Not only does she find me overbearing and embarrassing as a husband, but then I find out that she mocks me to her friends and exposes some sensitive relationship issues to her group chat. This will probably be the last update, since I don't think she can come back from this. We just celebrated our 15th anniversary last month. I feel like a total loser now after seeing what my wife actually thinks about me. Oh, guys, I sound calm, but the rage is bubbling deep within me. I am so angry. I'm so upset. I can't even think of words anymore to describe how much I hate this woman. She's terrible. She is the wicked witch of the woods. I swear to God. I can't even. Let's just go to the comments. Okay, guys, here's a hopeful comment to lift our spirits a bit. This commenter says, I'm 54 and I was married for 27 years. When our youngest graduated, I asked for a divorce. A couple of years later, I started dating again and eventually met my fiancé. She tells me constantly that she can't believe I'm real and how lucky she is to have found me. The thing is, I feel just as lucky and tell her that constantly too. I can't believe I'm so appreciated by someone that I in turn appreciate so much. I hope this guy finds the same. Another commenter says, I may be weird. To be honest, there's no maybe about it, lol. But I can't understand having an ongoing relationship with someone you obviously despise and or denigrate like OP's wife does. Why? There's plenty of people out there. Why on earth don't more people talk about issues when they arise instead of slagging him off and lying behind OP's back? She could have simply said something like, I'm sorry sweetheart, I appreciate the thought behind it, but I'd rather you didn't pack my lunch. It makes me feel like you're my parent, not my husband. The same goes for other issues you have. For God's sake, people, talk about problems as they occur. He should be grateful he didn't spend even more years thinking he was loved and appreciated. I'm certain many women would be extremely happy to have a man like this. I sincerely hope OP's future is one where he is openly appreciated and respected for his behaviour. Another commenter says, the only loser here is your wife. She had a considerate partner who loved her and threw it away. Her co-workers are probably one of those groups who like to bash their partners to feel superior. I ran into one of those once, and I can't explain why they do it. It's weird as hell, and stopped hanging around with them. Don't change who you are and don't fall for any manipulation she throws your way. You deserve much better. Another commenter says, I'm sorry you have to go through this. Just so you know, you are not a loser, she is. If she has problems with the way you treated her, which most wives would dream about, she should have talked to you, not mock you in a group chat. Good luck. To which another commenter responds, this, OP is a fucking prize and an absolute husband material. I hope he can find an amazing woman who appreciates him and brags about him to her friends. Okay, so we're going to move on to OP's final update, and I'm just going to say, I skimmed through it, so prepare to be disappointed, guys. It isn't the happy ending we're probably all hoping for. I know I'm going to get some hate for my decision at the end of all of this, but I gave my wife one more chance. Boo! Boo! Who said that? She gave me a real apology for her actions and how she treated me 2 weeks ago. In her own words, she let her friends' comments at work and her best friends affect her too much. My wife wanted to feel included in the groups by playing both sides. One that she has a useful husband and one that she has a clingy husband. She's not using them as an excuse, and she did take full responsibility for how poorly she treated me, which is a plus. No, OP, please, say you're joking. Say you're joking and you divorced her nasty ass. She suggested some sort of marriage counselling for us and insisted on doing the planning herself to show me that she's dead serious on wanting to make this work. She's copied me in her communications with a counsellor, but it will still be a while before our first appointment. She stepped in the home too, doing more tasks without me asking. The compliments I used to get also have made a return, so I do feel a bit more appreciated. My wife promised that she wouldn't lie to her friend group anymore and give me the credit I deserve. The work friends I don't know about, their opinions on me will forever be as they are even though she's talked to them. Part of this feels disingenuous since it took us getting to a bad spot for this to happen. Maybe it's just resentment talking. I hope this works out for our sake and the kids. And no, she's not been cheating or had some guy in her ear telling her things. A lot of DMs are asking me about that. I don't know, this doesn't seem genuine to me at all. I don't want to regurgitate online therapy speech, but this just sounds like love bombing to me. The fact that it took you nearly leaving her for her to finally fix up her behaviour. I don't think it's going to be long before she goes back to the way she was. It sounds like she's making excuses, saying anything she can to get you to stay, just because she doesn't want to adult and she knows that you'll do the work. So she's like, look, I'm cleaning, look, you like this. But eventually I feel like it's all going to go away. Maybe I'm being too negative and I should just be an optimist instead. But I don't trust the wife and I still don't like her. I knew it! Ha! Validation. The top comment says, now she's playing three sides. And someone replies, so she always comes out on top. See, I knew it wasn't just me being negative. Other people think the same way. Ha! Sorry, I probably shouldn't be so happy about that. That's quite bad if that is actually the case. I shouldn't be, like, celebrating that Opie's wife's still an evil witch. Another commenter says, I'd assume that your wife did the math multiple times and came to the realisation that her life would be in the gutters if she went through with a divorce. Plus, she's the main income earner and you're the main caregiver, so you'd be entitled to a lot of money post-divorce. I say tread lightly and document things just to be on the safe side, but I do sincerely hope things work out for you. Another commenter says, so is she still hanging around with these friends? You really put your foot down? And OP responds, I only have a problem with her communicating with the work friends, but there's not much I can do. It's not like she can stop communicating with her co-workers or quit her job. That same commenter replied to OP and they said, she mocked you to her work friends about how embarrassing it is to be with you, man. Why can't she find another job? She boasted she was the money maker after all. Your wife sounds like someone without a spine, so why do you think she'd stop talking about you like that to them at work? She will never stand up to those friends at work. Another commenter replies and they say, it's not like OP has much of a spine either, since he's staying with her after all she said about him. Sorry OP, but my heart really hurts for you. With all she actually did to you and how badly she treated you, until she realised there was a real risk you'd walk away, then suddenly she changed her tune to get her health back. I wouldn't trust her as far as I could throw her at this point. Okay, and I know OP said that's their final update, but they have actually left us one more update just to show us the progress that's been made, so we're going to read that now. I won't bother posting this on AmItheA-hole sub since my situation no longer requires it. Warning, this will be very long. In short, my wife and I went for our first marriage counselling session. At first it was extremely awkward having to talk about our problems to someone outside the marriage. A bit silly considering I was doing it here on Reddit, but in person zero anonymity is something else. I won't say everything that we discussed, but my wife and I ended up sharing her thought process on how things escalated this far. Years of her having me do most of the things in her home had left her complacent, so she took me for granted. A marriage counsellor suggested that both of us find some individual therapy, her for a tendency to try and fit in everywhere, mine for trying to take on everything without wanting to ask for any help. We both like our counsellor, so we'll be visiting her again for another appointment. That's something we're still working on, but for now we're taking things a bit more evenly in regards to everything in our relationship. Chores are split about 70-30, so we're planning a cooking schedule that's fair for both of us. What I'm really happy about is her taking the initiative with our dates again. Now it doesn't feel like a one-sided effort. I can't wait for her to be the one leading the romance. She's also set the record straight with her group of friends, so I'm not a useless husband to them. That was also pretty awkward, but no one reacted in a dramatic way. The only issues are her work friends, and she's on the lookout for a better job. Not for pay, but looking for a less unhealthy work environment. I just wanted to thank you for the support and advice that I've gotten from you all. I have a good feeling that we can make it through this. Okay, congratulations I guess. I'm totally happy for you, definitely. I have had a quick look through the comments and they're basically the same as on the last update we saw. You know, don't trust her, blah blah blah, tread carefully with this woman, you deserve better, same thing, so I'm not going to go through and read them because there's no point really. Guys, I can't tell if I'm just being really negative or if I'm valid in thinking that this woman will not change. It's all an act. She doesn't want you to leave, so she's pretending that she's really nice, when in reality she's clearly not. Like that person said on that last update, like now she's playing three sides. I think that's what's going on personally. I think she knows you're going to leave her. She doesn't want you to leave her because the benefits that you bring to her life, even though she won't admit those benefits. And damn, yeah, I really am a very negative person. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the wife really has seen the error of her ways and she's going to become a nicer person. But, OP, maybe just be careful. I ain't going to sit here and shit on his decision because he clearly does seem quite happy about this. From that update, he seems to have a much more positive outlook on his relationship right now. So I'm not going to turn around and tell him that he's an idiot or anything like that. I wouldn't have stood for it, I would have left regardless, but OP has kids with this woman, and if there's a chance he can fix it and make the relationship better, I could understand why he'd attempt that first. But guys, I'm going to end the video here. That was our post for today. I did tell you it was a really long one, that's why I've dedicated an entire video to it. I'm quite dissatisfied with the ending of that, but what about you guys? Do you agree with me or am I just really negative? Tell me down in the comments what you would have done if you were in OP's situation. And while you're down there in the comments, you might as well leave a cheeky like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video. I make Reddit content weekly, so you wouldn't want to miss that. And until next time guys, bye bye.